The superintendent is coming to every single school and department building. Cue the Wicked Witch theme music. Today is day one of my quarterly roadshow. It's a 2-week process where I hit every building and every employee to give the opportunity to give budget updates, reflect on the goals and ensuring we did the things we said we would do this year, and talk about upcoming hot topics for next year. Let me tell you why that is so important. Welcome to Super Insights. Let's go. Hey, welcome back and hope you had a great week last week. If you're new to this channel, my name is Ryan Carpenter. I am a real public school district pre-K-12 superintendent and just excited to have you be a part of this journey. This vlog is all about helping and supporting superintendents with strategies and tactics in order for them to be more successful in a very difficult position in today's world. So welcome, glad you're here, and excited to talk about this very important and game-changing strategy called the Roadshow Tour. This is such an awesome opportunity for the superintendent to be up front and center, in person, in front of every employee group inside the organization. I typically do roadshow tours once every semester, so 2 times a year. I always start at the beginning of in-service when all of the employees come back to quickly address the big goals and hot topics that are occurring at the beginning of the year. Always a welcome back, and I'll talk more about my in-service speech in a different episode, but that's typically speech number 1 in front of everybody all at one time in one sitting. It's always fun. But then at the end of the first semester, about 16, 17 weeks into the school year, I start my first roadshow tour. And that is to give updates on how we're doing, to give updates on hot topics and big decisions that the district is making, but also the opportunity for all employees to be able to give 2-way feedback to me, their superintendent, the chief executive officer of the school district, so that I can work with my team to begin to implement systems and improvement cycles in order to make things better for our working employees. This time of year is at the end of the school year, and this is a high stakes presentation to all employee groups throughout our organization, because we're talking about budget, we're talking about contract, we're looking backwards to see, did we do what we said we would do at the beginning of the year? And then lastly, again, talking about those hot topics and planning and preparation for the next school year. And so always fun, always engaging, and every different group I speak to is just a little bit different, with just a little bit of a different surprise. And so excited to talk about this opportunity today. Let's talk about how we build this presentation and the topics that I want to make sure that I can clearly convey to the employee groups inside my organization with the Roadshow Tour. What is first most important is this is also an opportunity for other leaders who work full-time in the district office to have the opportunity to join me on some of these tour stops inside our organization. Not everybody gets to see the payroll person. Not everybody gets to see the human resource coordinators. Not everybody gets to see the CFO or the accounts payable person, and so on. And so I make sure that I'm intentional, that as I go through my stops, I have already pre-scheduled these people to join me, not on all of them, because everybody would go crazy if they heard my speech 9 times, 12 times. I only want them to come once, maybe sometimes twice. And the whole intention behind that is to get them out of their office, to be exposed publicly to people so they can see a name, with the face, or a face with the name, however you want to say that, and give them the opportunity to listen to what employees are saying back to me, as well as to be fully briefed in the part of the roadshow tour that everybody is getting educated on. And so when it comes to finance, obviously we're going to talk a lot about budget. And so it's great to see all of the hard work and the spreadsheets and the closed doors and the 4 monitors and all the 10 key work that they do on a daily basis. Now they get to come with me and I get to present all of their hard work to the employee workforce. And so I get the opportunity to recognize them. I get the opportunity to point them out. So again, they can put a face with the name. And then also, they also get the opportunity, very important, to hear the feedback from our employees about the things that we're presenting to them. So as much as this is important for the employees who are listening to my presentation and have the opportunity to be front and center, face to face with their CEO or superintendent, it is equally important for the people inside the district office to come along with you so that it shows or displays that we are one team working in one direction together in an effort to accomplish our goals. So because my roadshow tour is really scheduled during the workday, it actually gets quite tricky to try to schedule different buildings based on their work time. Obviously, the elementary schools, as soon as that school day is over, I have about 30 or 40 minutes left in contract time. And so I use those 30 or 40 minutes to be able to speak with elementary schools. The way that our master schedule and work hours are built for the high school levels, I typically try to come before the first bell rings. When I'm working with the transportation department, it is after the morning routes. So everybody is back at the base and I have the opportunity to speak with them just after the morning route before they take their split shift break, and certainly way before they come back to run the afternoon routes. Typically when I work with the nutrition staff, this is after their breakfast time or after their lunch time, right before they're off the clock. And it's actually more after their lunchtime, right before they clock out, giving me the opportunity to speak with them. I don't do it between breakfast and lunch. That would be suicide. They are working so hard during that time. So it's typically just after their lunch service, right before they clock out to move on. And so you do have to get crafty in terms of when you schedule this tour to make sure that you're not holding people over beyond their work time. You certainly don't want to pay overtime or additional hours for them just to listen to you. And so finding that tiny window to have the opportunity to present these roadshow tour topics is really critical. But the other reason why I'm saying that, as I draw on or drown on in this particular vlog, is because you also have to be short and sweet. Good superintendents can talk forever. I used to be so worried about, a 30-minute presentation. Now, when someone asks me to speak for an hour, it's like, not a problem. Can it be 2? And so, of course, you can see this as I'm talking right now. But what my point is when you talk about budget, when you talk about, the next school you're planning, and when you talk about hot topics, that's really an hour and a half long conversation, especially if you allow good, meaningful feedback. But we've only got 30 minutes, 40 minutes inside this window. And so it has to be sweet. It has to be succinct, and you do have to allow for opportunities for employees to ask questions. And so it's really a sweet spot, and you've got to be able to be prepared and have a good presentation ready to go to work through those processes. So here's how I set up my roadshow tour. First and foremost, the things I'm going to talk about are standardized, and I say the same things, the same dialect to every single partition of the organization or department. But what I try to do is I always start out by highlighting a win of the specific school or of the specific department. So when I'm working with our bus drivers, I try to specifically highlight great work that they're doing, and I want them to hear that from me personally. Again, employees don't necessarily want to see you, They want to be seen by you. And so I always intentionally start by telling them what I see them doing and how it's ultimately helping the organization. When I'm speaking at an elementary school, I honor their hard work and how that's contributing to the great things happening with our students, as well as how it's contributing to the overall success of our school district. Everybody is working extremely hard and every job is extremely hard. And this is a great opportunity for me to be front and center, acknowledging the individual departments in schools and their contribution to our great school district. The second topic is I always talk about the budget. The budget this time of year is always very stressful, and there's a lot of anxiety in all school districts across the United States when it comes to budget season. I know so many school districts right now are in the process of reductions and layoffs and furlough days. I see it all over the news, and our surrounding neighbors are also experiencing the same circumstances. Fortunately, this year, I get the opportunity to talk about our budget being considerably healthy. In fact, we're going to be adding FTE to our budget because we're in a thriving school district right now where we're increasing in enrollment. Very fortunate to be in that spot for next year. But trust me, I've been a part of budget reductions too, and I think we'll do an episode on budget reductions, but I've been there and it is no fun and extremely stressful. However, budget is the number one topic of this particular roadshow tour. And so I want to make sure that I'm talking about what our budget starts at, in terms of tens of millions of dollars or millions of dollars, whatever size of school district you're in. Maybe it's $1 billion, which we have big school districts in our state that are in the billions when it comes to starting their budget. So I start with the overall budget. I talk about how much that is an increase or a decrease from last year, the current budget cycle that we're in right now, and the exact dollar amount of how much more it is or how much less it is. And then I move from there to talk about a big pie chart, because I want to be able to articulate that I'm going to make one up, of a $50 million budget, exactly, like 83% of that $50 million is for people. It's to hire our employees to serve and support our kids in our community. And I think that just goes a long way, because when you throw up a big number like $50 million to the average employee, they're like, whoa, you guys are loaded. But at the end of the day, it's just important to see just how much of that pizza pie, of that $50 million, people actually take from that for their services to work inside our school district. And then after that, I move directly to our enrollment predictions, because I like to show a trend over 10 years of what our enrollment is looking like. At the end of the day, enrollment is where the money comes from. And so the trajectory of 10 years, if you can see it continuing to increase, you can start to have conversations about what the district is financially preparing to do for growth. If you see enrollment decreasing, like several school districts are seeing across the United States, then this gives you the opportunity to not only talk about the reductions in your budget for next year, but how you're financially preparing for decrease over time. And that's so critical as well. I then move directly to class size. Class size has been a hot topic across the country, and our school district is no different. Class size is a regular topic that comes up frequently throughout our organization. So this is my opportunity, front and center, to really put the numbers up there in real time to say, here is the average class size at our elementary schools, here is the average class size at our middle schools, here is the average class size at our high schools, giving us the opportunity to show front and center how we're doing when it comes to class size. And I'll do another one on how we actually budget for FTE using some great algorithms that I learned from somebody else that has really made us quite financially healthy while still keeping class size down. It's an awesome formula. And so I show that. I also highlight, by the way, at each building that I go speak at, who personally has the highest class size. And I point them out by name and I thank them for their hard work of serving more students than anybody else and the great work that they're doing. That goes a long way. And again, it's the superintendent seeing them do something great. And then I don't by name also show who has the lowest class sizes. And so while one elementary school teacher might have a class of 27, which is our highest in one of our elementary schools, we have another 4 or 5 teachers who have a class size of 18. And it's important to show that because while one person may be over your desired threshold, there are several other people who are under. And to be able to go through that and articulate that is really quite helpful for the employees to see and understand, because they never look at the big 100,000 foot level. They only see what's inside their classroom on most days and opportunities. And so this is a great time to do that. So I started with overall budget. I talked about the growth or decrease. I showed enrollment trends, and then I showed class size. And then I parlay that next into what our additions and subtractions are going to be. And so I said early on, I'll make up a number. We have $2 million more this year to work through. And so here is what we're adding with that $2 million in order to support the employees' great work. And then I talk about just the other things that are going to cost more money. Diesel for our buses is going to cost us $25,000 more this year. Our retirement system increases are going to cost us $1.4 million this year. And then lastly, I talk about reductions. And in the current state that I'm in with the school district that I lead, because we're adding people, but our reductions actually mean we're doing a cost neutral move. So in order for us to hire this administrator, we're reducing this administrator. Or in order for this elementary school to get 2 more teachers based on enrollment, we're reducing this elementary school 2 teachers. And so it's a very transparent, very honest, and very easy to understand approach so that people can start to better conceptualize and understand where the money's coming from and how we're using the money to set our next year up for success. At the conclusion of that piece of it, I then directly move on to our goals for the school year. And again, at the beginning of the year, the superintendent was in front of everybody, including myself, and I say, I had a dream last night, and here is what our school district is going to be like for this upcoming school year. Of course, I'm being dramatic for dramatic effect. It's very specific, and we talk about what goals we're going to set in August or at the beginning of your school year. Now it's my opportunity to say, okay, at the beginning of the school year, I said our organization is going to prioritize accomplishing these 5, 6, or 7 things. Here's how we're doing in the things we said we were going to do. And then I support that with data. And most of the time, there are so many wins to collect so that we can all give each other a high five and say, we did great work, and this has been a great school year, and we've accomplished what we said. And there will be other things that will come about that we're not quite there yet. We need to prioritize this for next year. Or we gave up on this because we got so far in our school year that to implement that goal would have actually been a greater disruption. And so it's a great opportunity to harvest wins based on doing what you said you were going to do. And then also the opportunity to explain how this was a priority and why it isn't complete yet, or why you abandoned the process to begin with. And then lastly, there's always going to be hot topics at the end of this. And if it's budget reductions, you would have said that in the budget spot. If it's, things that were priorities and goals, that goes in the middle section. The last section is for the nuances of what it will take to get next year going and the planning that is there. An example, which is something that I'm personally going through right now, is school reconfiguration, which is a doozy. And that is, we have traditional K-5 elementary schools that feed traditional 6-8 middle schools that feeds a traditional 9-12. The problem is we have growth and capacity issues in our community where some elementary schools are getting larger than others. And so rather than drawing reboundaries, which is a suicidal conversation for superintendents to have, but necessary, I'm just making jokes, but you do got to have those conversations when they apply. We're trying a different approach this year where we're actually going to change our buildings into different levels. So we're going to have a K2 building, a 3-4 building, a 5-6 building, a 7-8 building, and a 9-12 building. And so kids are going to incrementally grow. This isn't new. I know many school districts across the country do this model. We're looking to move in that direction. But as you can imagine, this overall organizational shift is going to have our employees experience high anxiety about where they're going to go, what class they're going to teach, what classroom are they going to be in. Our specialists are going to have to move offices, and the wonderful fights about whose office, who gets what office, are all things our organization is going to experience between now and when we implement the strategy that we're proposing to our school board. And so this is my opportunity in the roadshow tour to be able to say, here's where we're at, here are the things we're thinking of, and here's where we're going to collect your voice to ensure that we give our employees the opportunity to be able to participate and help us co-own the direction that we're headed. And so I'm excited in this roadshow tour to have the opportunity to give an update and to say, okay, our community and our school board are in charge of this. This part is completely out of your control and our control. This belongs to the community. But here's what's in your control and where your voice is going to matter. And it's not in the what we're going to do, it's in the how we're going to do it. And so then this gives me the opportunity to go item by item to say, here are the things that you are in control of and we will absolutely be collecting your voice on. Is there anything here that I'm missing? Which is a great way to start the two-way dialogue between that. And this is just one example. There are multiple examples, but this is where the hot topics give the opportunity for the superintendent to be in the front, talking about the hot topics, and the employees to be giving feedback about the hot topics face to face in that controlled environment. And so more to come on this, but right now I have to go to another elementary school to give my second roadshow tour of the day. Can't wait. Come along with me. So here's one quick pro tip as we go to our next school, and that is simply this. Also never forget to make sure to recognize the principal and the vice principal as you roll out your roadshow tour. Because here's the deal, your principals and vice principals are working extremely hard to advance your district's school district mission, which means they're making some extremely difficult decisions this time of the year. And your ability to be front and center in front of your employees, to back them up and to give full confidence in them, ultimately allows them to have the support and confidence they need to keep the work going. In addition to that, if there's any confidence wavering, or if the employees think that there's a foothold to go around the principal straight to the superintendent, your devoted confirmation of their hard work and reaffirmation of the great work that they're doing currently only allows you to tell the employees that you support them, ultimately making them the one-stop shop to go to when it comes to supporting and leading the vision in their school. So don't forget to recognize them. So just got back from my second one of the day, another great presentation and another great dialogue. I'm just so appreciative for the opportunity to be able to just speak in front of our employees. I love our employees, and what a great opportunity for me just to get to hang out and share the big things happening in our district. It's always appreciative or appreciated by the employees, and just thankful to have the opportunity to do that, and thankful for our building principals providing the time and space to allow their superintendent to come in to work with their group of people. Such a cool experience. In conclusion, the thing that I also want to share with you is I understand that this work is not always unicorns and roses, and that is no different for me as well. There are some sections in our organization that are extremely happy, and my presentation goes very well, and everyone is just fired up about the conversation and thankful to be there. I also have places inside my own organization that is a little bit grumpy right now, or are not happy with the direction that things are going. And that's a real thing. When you work in a major organization and you're the CEO, you're going to have bright spots, and you're going to have spots that require a little bit of extra work. We're all working hard on culture inside our organization, and we've worked extremely hard at building a nationally recognized culture inside the school district that I serve. But that doesn't mean that I'm immune to places that are less happy than other places inside the organization. And to go around in the month of May is when high fatigue is in, stress is high, testing is happening, budget conversations, moving people from one grade level to the next grade level. Like, anxiety is always high this time of year. And I think it's just important that you're mindful of that. But that does not change the fact that it's so critical for the superintendent to go and speak with all people. It's always been kind of my mantra that I'm here, I'm in front of you, I'm in person. I see the great work that you're doing. I understand the difficulties in the big decisions that our entire organization is making. But here I am. Take your best shot. So often when you look at toxic cultures inside a school district, you just notice that people do a lot of the toxicity behind the scenes, or in the staff room, or at the water cooler, or from one person to another. And all of those little interactions is ultimately what starts to pull the organization and its morale down. And so I do see this as an opportunity not only to communicate the big things happening and our preparations for next year, so that everybody is on board and aligned in the direction that we're headed. And even if they don't like it, at least they heard the direction that we're going. And so they have the opportunity to formulate their own opinions. But what's been so impactful for me in these roadshow tours is here I am. Take your best shot. Like, I'm right here, I'm unguarded, I don't have protection. Like, if you want to take a shot, this is your opportunity to do that. And I'm always so appreciative. And at least in my experience, people have been respectful, they've been thankful, and they've understood some of the hard challenges that the superintendent is faced with. But our ability to share what is at the superintendent's desk when it comes to hard decisions is always so helpful to the employee to hear that. A lot of times they don't understand what the superintendent does. They don't see what we do on a daily basis. And so this is where we get the stereotypical accusation of us just hanging out in our leather chair, or vacationing in Italy for a month, or things of that nature. The truth of the matter is, this is a 24/7 wall-to-wall job. And it's just great to have the opportunity to share with insight what are the big things we're working through, and our ability to communicate those things to the employee gives a better understanding of understanding the problem, how we're trying to solve the problem, and how we know if we're going in the right direction with our solution to the problem. And so the employee, or not the employee forum, but the roadshow tour is such a great opportunity for the superintendent to be front and center. And as long as you have thick skin and have the ability to say, here I am, give me your hardest question, your toughest comment, and I will, with empathy and respect, listen to that, collect that feedback, and answer your question or respond to your comment to the best of my ability, giving you transparent and honest updates on where we're at in this process, I think really goes a long way to building a strong relationship between the CEO and the employees within their organization. How do you communicate big things to your employees? I strongly recommend that you have your secretary twice a year schedule an opportunity for you to go speak to each and every single employee group within your organization about how you're doing with finances, about how you're doing in terms of the measurement of doing what you said you would do, and then giving yourself the opportunity face to face to work through some of the gnarliest challenges that you're working through in your organization. And no better person than you to lead that. Have a great week, and I hope this helps. Take care.